Johnny Depp sat in a quiet hospital donation center, watching his blood slowly fill the bag beside him. He had done this many times before, but tonight felt different. Across the room, two young girls sat huddled together, their oversized jackets barely covering their frail bodies. They were twins, no older than 10, their tired eyes filled with quiet suffering. A nurse knelt beside them. "Rose, Rena, are you feeling okay today?" The smaller twin, Rena, gave a weak nod. Her sister, Rose, held her hand tightly. Johnny watched as they left, stepping into the cold night. Something about them lingered in his mind. Acting on instinct, he followed them at a distance through dark streets until they slipped into a narrow alleyway. Beneath a tattered tarp, they settled beside a frail woman, clearly their mother. Marianne looked up as Johnny approached, exhaustion etched into her face. She didn't seem afraid, only weary. "Why are you here?" she asked softly. Johnny hesitated. "I saw your daughters at the hospital. I wanted to make sure they were all right." Marianne's voice trembled. "We had a home once. A life. But after my husband left, everything fell apart. I got sick. Lost my job. And now, this is all we have." Johnny listened, his heart heavy. Rose suffered from breathing problems made worse by the freezing air. Rena had lived with a colostomy bag for years, something that could have been fixed with proper medical care. But they had no options. No hope. That night, Johnny couldn't sleep. He had always known homelessness existed, but now it had a face, a story. He couldn't ignore it. The next morning, he returned with help. He arranged for the family to move to a shelter where Marianne could receive medical care, and the girls could be warm and safe. But he didn't stop there. He met with doctors, pushing for Rena's surgery. He covered the expenses, ensuring they no longer had to fight for survival. Days turned into weeks, and Johnny found himself deeply invested. Between film commitments, he visited them often. He sat with Marianne as she regained strength, helped Rose with her schoolwork, and reassured Rena as she prepared for surgery. On the day of the operation, Johnny sat in the waiting room, his heart pounding. When the doctor finally emerged with a smile, Johnny let out a deep breath. The surgery had been a success. Later, as he watched Rena laugh for the first time since he'd met her, he realized this wasn't just about helping one family. It was about something bigger. Determined to do more, Johnny reached out to charities, donated to shelters, and started using his platform to raise awareness. Months later, during a press event, a journalist asked about his upcoming films. Instead of talking about Hollywood, Johnny spoke about homelessness, about families like Marianne's who had been forgotten. The next day, the headlines weren't about his career, they were about his mission. One evening, as Johnny walked through the city, he passed the alley where he had first met Rose and Rena. It was empty now. No makeshift shelter. No suffering. It was a reminder of how far they had come. A small smile formed on his lips. Their journey wasn't over, but now, they had a future. And for the first time in a long time, Johnny felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be.